Good morning, everyone. So I woke up this morning and seeing this red light on my Renogy charge controller. This light should always be green. That's my battery health light telling me now that my batteries are not doing good. So pulled up my Victron battery monitor system here, which tells me everything that's going on in my solar system. My batteries are at a 55% state of charge. So for batteries, I have two 125 amp hour AGM batteries. And because they're AGMs, you're not allowed to drive them to 50%. That's the limit. That's like on an AGM battery, 50% is a dead battery. And if you push it to those limits way too many times, you'll end up killing those batteries. But it's crazy to look at it and go, I've used that much power? Really? So let's take a look at this system here real quick. So currently right now we're pulling 53 watts of power because I'm getting no solar input or nothing like that. So that's actually power leaving the system. I've drawn 137 amp hours of power out of my batteries. If you guys don't know anything about batteries, so if I have two 125 amp hour batteries, which means I have 250 amp hours of power, but I'm only allowed to use 50% of it. So we have to go for a bit of a drive. And that's only been, so the last time we were at 100% was one day, 12 hours. So with the batteries that I have in my van and the power that I have in my van pulling off of those batteries, now I know I have a day and a half worth of power before I need to get charged. So this is too early to be thinking about battery stuff. But that just shows me that battery power is more important than the amount of wattage of solar on the roof. Because the more stored power I have inside of my van, you could go a little longer without needing to get them charged. So for me, running all my toys right now, like editing my videos and heating the van because it was chilly last night, all that stuff, I have a day and a half before this thing needs to be charged. So if you look at it, if there's no solar at all, like no sun at all outside, I can only park it for a day before I have to move my van again to get more power back in those batteries. And that worries me a little bit because I'm going into winter. So, I mean, I'm always on the move every day. I very, very seldom stay in the same spot twice. But this shows me that if I'm using my power in my van to heat and everything else, that 125 amp hours of usable power is just not enough. How insane is that? So I'm excited to kind of get into winter a little bit and get back to my regular state of driving and filming and doing all the running around we used to do, to see if all of this stuff works running off of my alternator power. So because of where I am here in Canada, we get rain, we get cloud, we get pretty poor solar conditions in the winter sometimes. So I'm hoping that with the bit of sun and stuff like that we do get, or you know, something comes peeking through those clouds a little bit, that we can keep ourselves going with the batteries that I have. Because I just bought those AGMs. They were like $260 a piece. But to sit here for a day and a half and be down to 55%, that means if I don't move my van today, I'll be down below the 50%. So we're actually going to go for a drive this morning and put a little bit of juice back in there. Watch this. Check out how bright my light bar is. It is awesome. Boom! Completely lights up everything. That's my regular headlights. Crazy. We've been driving for probably about 20 minutes now this morning, and the battery charges come up a little bit, but the alternator pulls in probably around, it bounces between about 300 and 400 and some on watts, but it doesn't always stay pulling in that much power, because as soon as the van's starter battery is completely full, it does throttle the power back a little bit. So yeah, we're just gonna sit down here, have a coffee, and go for a bit more of a drive and see how far we can get this up, because we have to go back to re-outfitted and park it still for the entire day today. So this needs to get charged up. What's going on, Mr. Crazy? We've been driving for 2 hours now. We left re-outfitted at probably 20 after 6, and we're at 72% for battery charge now. Battery chargers, 239 bucks, 26 amps. This one's a little smaller. This one's 10 amps for 129 bucks. Wow, does that van ever, hold on, let me take my mask off. Does that van ever look good? Look it. Look it. Are you waiting for us, homie? Oh, I'm getting the look. Currently, right now, we have 25 watts of solar power coming in, and it looks like the sun might pop out from behind that cloud. Here it comes. And if you take a look at, our sun is at that angle. Like, it's not coming straight down on the top of my solar panel, so the sun is not really optimal at the angle that I need. So now let's take a look at that. So now that the sun's come out from behind the cloud, we're pulling in 77 watts of surplus power. So normally this number here, if I'm getting no solar or it's indoors or it's nighttime, will be in a negative, telling me that it's actually draining power from my battery. Here it's telling me that the fridge is obviously still pulling power because it's on, but with all the power being drawn, we still have a surplus of 76 watts going into my batteries to charge them. And if you tell, it's kind of slowly going up here. It was 72%, I think, when we got to Canadian Tire. All right, sun's going back behind the clouds, and look, 18 watts, that's it. Thank you, sunshine. Could you please come back out from behind that cloud again? But that's the difference. People are like, hey, look, it's not a bad day out, a little bit of blue skies. But when that sun goes away, so does all your solar production. 9 watts, come on, like it's completely gone now. So that's my problem I'm having because I've been sitting still. We've been driving now for, I don't know, a little over 3 hours, and we're only at 82%. Wow. All right. As soon as we get back here, the sun pops out and we're pulling in 136 watts of solar, and we're now up to 85%. I'm okay with this, but it is a pretty crappy feeling to get up in the morning and see your batteries in not a good state, because I don't want to treat my batteries badly. I want them to last as long as I can. But the more I keep pushing them down to that state, the less and less they're going to be reliable for me in the long run. So the other big option is to go to lithium. I just can't see spending the money on lithium because I spent the money on those ones. They were like 265 bucks a piece or something like that. But it really makes me think that maybe buying them was a bit of a mistake. I should have just waited until I needed the extra power, because at the time my one battery was just working. I also didn't have a fridge and a heater that relies on 12-volt power all night long. So my heater's got a fan that runs at night to blow the heat around my van. But I didn't have those things when I upgraded. I upgraded because I'm like, well, I'm really pushing the limits of this one battery, so let's just get 2 AGMs. So I got rid of the one and bought 2 of them. It was a $550 upgrade or whatever it was. Not so bad. But now I really wish I would have just waited till I got all the things that I needed for higher power, and then just invested it into lithium and done this right. Because if I would have put lithium batteries in the spaces where I have my 2 AGMs, I would actually double my usable amp hours. Insane. So with a 100 amp hour AGM, you can only use 50 amp hours out of it, and that's it. 50% is the lowest limit you want to discharge those ones. But with a same 100 amp hour AGM, you can discharge the whole thing. Well, at least you have more usable amp hours anyway. So when it comes to planning your solar system, I always heard that you should always keep 3 days of reserve power in your van in your battery bank. So plan your battery banks big enough to hold 3 days worth of additional power. So if you were to happen to get wiped out and get nasty weather for a few days,
that you have enough reserve power in the van to get you through the daily things you need power for. So for me, it would be my fridge, charging my laptop a couple times in a day, and running my heater at night on those cold nights. But lesson learned. So let me explain something. When I first came out here, my van was inside of Ray Outfitted for a week. And it came outside at night so I could sleep, and then back in the shop during the day. And my batteries went dead, and Rainer was like, hey, we need to plug you in. I don't have shore power. And then Rainer went and grabbed a battery charger, connected it to the terminals on my battery, plugged it in the wall. Boom, my batteries were charged. I'm like, this is super cool. I didn't know you could do that. I always thought that doing shore power meant a big system that converts power from wall to the 12 volt in this big, huge deal. And that was very expensive. I didn't know that you could just buy a battery charger, like one of those Noco ones or whatever. So, because he had a great big Noco one. It's like a Noco 2600, the same one I picked up at Canadian Tire today because I was debating on buying it. That's why I went in there. But I couldn't fathom the price tag. And then, I'm like, well, it'll come in handy on those days. But then you also got to take it and connect it to the terminals anytime you need to use it. But that's the very first time in my entire van life this van ever had to be plugged in to a wall, or AKA shore power. And that was the first time. Then we hit Happy Camper Kits, and my van was inside the shop for an entire week. And my fridge literally drained my batteries down to like 47% or something. I was like, no. So I messaged Ray Outfitted, and they're like, look, just go find a charger or go buy a charger. So I asked Andy, he went and bought a charger from a neighbor, and I had to plug my batteries back into shore power for the second time in my van life. And then today I was like, well, I might be in that situation again. I'm going to be parked here for another day or two or whatever it's going to be to get all the things finished I need done here. Just wrapping up a few things right now. But I thought I was going to have to plug in again. So I was out looking at those things. But yeah, I just don't know about dealing and fussing with all that stuff. I should go talk to Rainer about the shore power thing and see if it is like as big as of a crazy deal. Because I think when the plug goes on the outside of your van, that it's got this big system on the inside that does all the management of that. Let's go find out. Hey, Cruzy, you hold down the fort, buddy. I'll be back, all right? I'll be right back. You cool with that? That was good timing. So I just came in the shop here, and I asked Rainer about the plug and the whole little big thing that goes into doing shore power, and he's like, "You talking about one of these things? Look at that." He just finished putting this on this van. Let me show you the little thing he showed me and how simple this thing is. So this is a pass-through. And I thought this was gonna be like a huge deal. If you look at it, it's an extension cord, literally, attached to a plug on the outside of the van. So you bolt that to the outside and you seal it so it doesn't leak. This hangs on the inside of your van, and all it has to be done is that gets plugged into the power cord side of your battery charger. Then on the opposite side of your battery charger, these cables get connected to your battery. So if you look on these, you don't connect this to your battery. Right inside there, it's got the eyelet. You simply unscrew that, this comes off the end, and then you put the eyelet right to your battery. How simple is that? Bolt that to the outside, plug this to that to the battery, and all of a sudden, anytime you want shore power, all you gotta do is plug an extension cord in. Rainer?
Yes?
You install this in my van?
Sure.
We can cut another hole.
I like cutting holes.
She's like, we can cut another invoice too, no problem.
I got my Weirdos pants though.
Oh yeah, check these out, guys. So I have my Weirdos Unite tights on my store. Those are awesome. They actually turn out good. So this side, the way I designed it, well, easy now, easy. Keep this family friendly. Seems to happen here a lot, where an idea comes in your mind and they're like,
Sure, let's do that. Why not, Chrome? You're here. Let's cut another hole in your van. But I never knew that putting shore power in your van was that easy. I always thought it was like a huge deal. I didn't know you could just use a standard battery charger for your vehicle and put it through that little pass-through on the wall. I always thought that went into this big elaborate electrical system, and I guess you can. I guess in like RVs and other systems you can go through these elaborate crazy things, but that's so freaking cool that I just have to buy a couple $100 battery charger and boom, I have shore power. Heck yes. This solves all of my little thoughts and worries. So being here at a place like Ray Outfitted, I've got access to power plugs on the wall right there. And think about those times that I've been on Vancouver Island hanging out with my buddy Daniel for a few days. I don't have a place to charge my battery, so I always have to keep moving. Well, now when I'm at my friends' places, I can take a little electricity if they'll let me plug in, and that way it'll allow me to work and stay stationary and still. Another cool thing thinking about that now is that if I have a huge amount of editing to do and the weather is really crappy and I'm not getting enough solar and I'm definitely not driving enough in the winter, if I direly need to sit down and edit a massive 3 days worth of editing, I can go to a campground or something like that and plug in for a few days if I need to. How cool is that? I love having friends like the crew here, because when little things like this come up, I'm learning a lot, and I'm sure you guys are learning a lot, because who'd have thought putting shore power in your van would be that easy? I stressed a little bit today. I don't like seeing my batteries in that state. It's my home, and I love everything that's inside of it. I want to take care of every part of it, including my batteries. So anyway, you guys, cool things learned in this video for the both of us is that, one, plan your batteries in your van for your own power needs. So for me right now, I'm a little bit underpowered on the battery side for what I need for day-to-day use. So down the line, maybe if I feel like it's necessary, I may upgrade to do lithium batteries in my van just to gain a little bit more battery capacity. But I'm super stoked right now with something as simple as Rainer putting another hole in my van, putting a pass-through extension cord from the outside in, and then all I gotta do is buy a little inverter and plug it in. I'm in for that. So simple. All right, you guys, I'll see you guys on another one. Apparently we're spending another day here at Ray Outfitted because tomorrow, I guess he's cutting another hole in my van. All right, you guys, see you soon.